Okay, thank you. So, before we continue to today's meeting, and while we are waiting for Hafiz to present the slide I gave last night, do you still remember what we have discussed last week?
Yes.
Come on, somebody, please speak up.
Last
Just
week,
like what I said, that every time you speak up, you will get the participation mark, a participation grade. Come on, what is something you still remember from what we have discussed last week?
The importance of studying studying philosophy in science.
Okay, what else?
last week we talking about what is philosophy of science and the history.
Okay, what else?
The limit of science is sense.
Oh, okay, good, good. What else?
Difference between knowledge and science.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. And we will discuss it more today. What else?
Okay,
What else?
excuse me, sir. My presenting is saying
Oh, yes, yes, yes. Okay. So the slide is ready. Let's go on to the slide. Everybody can see the first page, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now, please, perhaps you have a piece of paper and pen, and you may try to answer this short quiz. And I will not asking how many mistake you make. No, no, it is just for our refreshment. Please try it by yourself. Which one is true and which one is false? This quiz is very interesting. Don't take it seriously, but this is very fun. Okay. Number one, science is concerned with understanding nature and physical world. Number two, science can prove anything, solve anything, answer any question. Number three, any study done carefully is scientific. Science can be done poorly. Anything done scientifically can be relied upon to accurate and reliable. Number six, different scientists may get different result. Number seven, knowing what is science what science is very important. Okay, done? Are you done? Hello, hello. Are you done?
Not yet, sir.
Not yet. Okay, I will give you time. Finish?
Yes.
Finish, sir.
Okay, so please continue to the next slide, Hafiz. Number one, science is concerned with understanding how nature and the physical world work. So the statement is true. So the science is a process by which we try to understand how the natural and physical world works and how it came to be that way. So at first the science is uh, so physical because people are trying to understand the natural phenomena, people trying to understand it, and the science can answer it after uh, we live in the era of mythology, in the Greek era, uh, where people trying to understand the nature by their own mind, and so the science is growing, and then we find biology, we find physics, we find chemistry, etc. Next, science can prove anything, solve any problem, or answer any question. So this statement is false. Anybody of you answer different? Anybody of you answer differently? No problem. No problem, because this quiz is just for fun to be understood. Okay. So why it is false? Because science actually attempts to disprove ideas or hypotheses. Do you know hypothesis? Have you ever heard about hypothesis? Hello, everybody.
Dugaan sementara.
Okay, so the hypothesis is yes, something that you I think this will be like this, but in scientific method you must prove it. You must prove it by doing research. And before we do that research, we have it the possibly answer, and it is called a hypothesis. And by the research, the hypothesis can be proven right or can be proven wrong. So science is limited strictly to solving problems about physical and natural world. Explanations based on supernatural and value or ethics can never disprove and do not fall under the realm of science. Okay, do you understand? This is just like what we have discussed last week, right? So the supernatural force, let's say uh, the magic or the ethics is good or bad, right or wrong, and etc. And also the aesthetics, the art, it's not a part of science. It's not a part of science. Okay, so the science cannot answer every question. It is limited only to about a physical and natural world, about something that human can sense it, as we discussed last week, right? Okay, any question? Any question? So we must learn it very slowly and deep thinking, because this is the lesson of philosophy. Okay? Question, please. Do not hesitate to ask any question. Okay, proceed, Hafiz. Next slide. Any study done carefully and based on observation is scientific. So this statement is false because science must follow certain rules. The rules of science make the scientific process as objective as possible. So objective is not influenced by feeling, not influenced by interest, not influenced by prejudice, and it means unbiased. Unbiased. What is bias? Bias is everybody has different thinking. Everybody actually is subjective. For example, why we cannot say that art is a science? Because the art is a very subjective. Perhaps one of you likes Happy Asmara so much, But another person doesn't like it. Another person like Via Valen, for example. No, sir, I don't like it. I like BTS. Another person then say, I prefer Blackpink. So, also the art is subjective. So the art is very subjective, and it is not a part of science, because science is a very objective. We cannot influence our feelings or like or dislike in doing research of science. Okay, any question? Any question? Okay, so absorb this, and you feel this, and you think. Perhaps some of you want to ask that, sir, then why in UNESA we have the Faculty of Language and Art? Why we have the Faculty of Language and Art? So in that faculty, we are tough. The teacher teach, the lecturer teach about how to produce art. About how to produce art. So the science is about how to make an art, how to make something artistic and can be enjoyable by everyone. But just like what I've said before, that the art itself is not a science. And what we can learn is about how we create something artistic. Okay, do you understand? Next slide. The science can be done poorly. Okay, that is true, because anything done scientifically can be relied upon to be accurate and reliable. Oh, no, this is a different statement. Oh, I see. Anything done scientifically can be relied upon to be accurate and reliable. False. Science can be done poorly. True. Okay. Why? Quality control mechanism in science increase the reliability of its product. I think this statement is inverse. Well, the most important thing is if you want to do research in science, you must have the methodology, or how to do research itself. That is why later, if you want to graduate from UNESA, you must make one research, and it is called a scriptsy. And if you read The skripsi is basically comes from 5 chapter. The first chapter is introduction, and the second is the literature review. Literature review. Why we must include literature review? Because we are a scientific person. We have ethic. We have ethics that we must conclude the previous research, so we can make it as a basis. And the third chapter is methods or methodology of the research itself. Number 4 is result, and the last is conclusion. So every skripsi based of consists of these 5 chapters. Okay, so the purpose of this lecture of philosophy of science is teaching you that you will become a scientific person. That if you want to make a conclusion, you cannot answer it by your opinion only. That's the difference between a scientist and an ordinary person. The scientist talking by the result of the research. Okay, for example, if you are not a scientist, and you come to a bar, or let's say a restaurant, or let's say in Indonesia we call it warung, some place where people hanging up together. Then you found that 2 people is arguing. You know the earth is actually created from water. Another person said that, no, the earth is come from dust, and the dust collecting dust, and now become the earth, become a big stone called earth. Oh no. The other one said that, no, you must be wrong. The earth is actually water. So the water and become cold, and it becomes then it becomes the North Pole and the South Pole, and the another the part of the earth is based on water. If these 2 people talking again and again, they are debating from their opinion, there is no right and wrong, because it is opinion. Opinion is subjective. But you then, as a scientist, come and said, hey people, based on the research of, and you are talking blah 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 blah, and the theory of blah 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 blah. Then the remaining person in that room is all silent. Okay? Do you know what I mean? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes, Mr.
Okay, so the purpose of why you are entering the university, why you are studying and want to become sarjana, want to become the graduate, is to create you as a scientific person. the person who are talking with data, the person who are talking with scientific research, the person who are talking with scientific ideas, not the person who are talking with their opinion and blah 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 and screaming and just subjective matters. Okay, please ask if you don't understand. Continue. Different scientists might get different solutions to the same problem. This statement is true because the result can be influenced by the race, by gender, nationality, religion, politics, or economic interest of the scientists. And sampling or measurement bias can result in different solutions to the same problem. For example, you want to do research about how what is people like that's like if you do research in marketing, if you do research in marketing, then the answer could be different in every area. Because what? Because the sampling is different. That is why the research you are conducting in Skripsi must be different one another. There is no same Skripsi title in university. Every title is different. And even if there are two Skripsi similar or perhaps have the same title, the object of the research must be different. And if so, the result is different automatically. Okay, do you understand? So later, 3 or 4 years later, each of you will have different Skripsi title. Next. Okay, this is the last statement of that short quiz. Knowledge of what science is, what it can and cannot do, and how it works is important for all people. This is true. Why? Because people need to be able to evaluate scientific information to make decisions about healthcare, environmental, technology, public health, etc. Next. What is good science? The objectivity is the key to good science. To be objective, we need experiments. Experiments need to be designed and conducted in a way that does not introduce bias. Bias means perhaps the researcher or you you as a researcher have personal interest. So you cannot include your personal interest or subjectivity in your research. Okay. Next. Okay. Bias, prejudice, presentation of material, a consistent error. Two main types of bias: sampling bias. Sampling. So if you conduct a research, you must have a sampling. And measurement bias. Do you have you got the lecture of statistics? Have you got statistics?
Yes.
Have you ever learned about statistics? Perhaps in your high school?
Yes. In mathematics.
Okay.
Mathematics science.
Yes. So if you are doing the research, let's say you want to do research about how people of UNESA student using their money in this pandemic era. So you want to do research of that, but the research is impossible for you to ask one by one every student of UNESA. So that's why we use a scientific method using statistics. And we found sampling. Sampling means from all of the UNESA students, you take only part of it. It is called sampling. And the whole student of UNESA, it is called population. So you take a part, just a part of UNESA student as your sample. But if you are not, if you are not, be careful. If you are not be careful, the sampling can be biased. For example, you ask, you take your sample just from economic student. So it's not represent the whole student of UNESA. If you want your research to be more objective, your sampling must be from every faculty, although not all students. Let's say 100 students from economic, 100 students from FPS, 100 students from technique, 100 students from FESH, 100 students from another faculty, and that is more objective than if you take 1,000 students from economic only. It could be a sampling bias. Okay, next. Sampling bias. Sample units selected to be measured from a larger group, the population. Okay, just like what I've told you before. Sampling bias is introduced when the sample is used is not representative. Okay. Next. Factors that contribute to sampling bias. Sample size. Is the sample big enough to get a good average value. So if you take a sample, you cannot take it too little, too little. Just like you said, I want to do research for the whole economic faculty student, which is more than 1,000 students, and you take sample. I take sample of 5 students. That is not enough. Very not enough. Okay. So in taking sample, there is so many theory of how much is the sufficient amount of sampling you need, so your research can be generalized. Okay. Selection of sample. Does the composition of the sample reflect the composition of the population? Just like age and gender. So if you want to do research in the whole UNESA student, don't take it from the male only. So it will not represent. So you must do it in balance between male student and female student as your sample. How to minimize sample selection bias? First, use random sample. So random means so you don't choose it, you just choose it randomly without any thinking. Number 2, limit the question asked to the specific group sample. Okay, so specific question for specific group. Next, measurement bias is the method of data collection will best match reality. Evaluate the technique. The measurement taken accurately, no additions, will influence the result. Experiment designed to isolate the effect of multiple factors. So just like, let me give you an example. Why people like why people like to buy? Okay, this is for example marketing research. Why people like buying what so clean, for example, why people like buying so clean? Then there is a lot of answer from the respondent, and so but in general people like so clean because the price is cheap. The price is cheap. So the result of your research is limited on the reality that the Soclin price is cheap. So the result of your research is not right, it's not correct if the price of Soclin rising up. So that is one external factor. As long as the Soclin price is still cheap, your research is no problem. But if there is an external factor, just like the price is rising up, then your research is questionable. Any question?
What the best technique to method the what is
What? The
what the
best
best
technique? Yes,
technique to
to do research.
make a to do research here?
Okay. So every problem has different possible answer, right? Every problem has different possible answer. So uh, you must know what is the best for your case. So at first, before you conduct a research, you must know the problem. That is why in every scriptsy, there is written in there rumusan masalah, the problem statement. So before you are doing research, you must have the problem. Just like in case in my area, the people so much people is living in poverty. So that is problem, and you want to do research why the poverty is so massive in your area. In general, there are two types of research. The quantitative research using statistics and the qualitative research using deep interview. And after you are knowing your problem, you can discuss with your lecturer, you can discuss with your supervisor what is the best possibly technique to do research to answer your problem. Okay, because every case is different and unique. Okay, Hafiz?
Yes, sir.
Any other question?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yes, please. Who is talking? Oh,
Uh,
Adinda. Yes, Adinda.
in the slide kan dijelaskan result can be influenced by the religion. What does philosophy have to do with religion? Apa hubungannya filsafat itu dengan agama dan apa hubungannya antara agama, filsafat sama sains?
Oh, okay. I will not answer that because that is the subject for, if I'm not mistaken, the fourth meeting, perhaps next week, or the fifth meeting. So we will discuss a lot of about religion and science. But did I told you last week about secularism? Did I told you
Yes.
secularism already or not yet?
All right. But I forget.
Not yet. Okay, so perhaps I can repeat it for a short story. So the actually the religion and the science is not having a good relationship. If you read the history, there is a person called Galileo and Galilei. Did I told you this last week?
Yes,
Yes?
sir.
Yes,
Yes, already?
already.
Okay, so you have understood that. So when the Galileo and Galilei said that the Earth is round and the hegemonic government that in that era disagree and said no, the Earth is flat, and the result is Galileo and Galilei go to jail, and if I'm not mistaken, he is sentenced to death. And from so the religion and the science is separated, and it is called secularism. The separation between religion and every aspect of life, including science, But because we are Muslim, we believe that the religion is come from God Himself, and we can prove that the religion and science can be together. We can prove that the religion and science can be together, not like the case of Galileo and Galilei. It is proven by science that in one ayah of one verse of Al-Quran said that there is salt water and pure water can be together in the ocean. It is proven by science, and that how a baby in pregnancy, pregnant mother, the movement, the growing baby inside, it is all written in Al-Quran. So, and it is proven in science too. And the story, just like all people do not believe that Rasulullah can do Isra, walking from Masjid Nabawi go to Masjidil Aqsa in Palestine, which is so far away, just in one night. And for the people in that era, that is a very impossible. But nowadays, not just go to Palestine from Medina. You can go from Indonesia, go to the moon directly, less in one night. So actually, in Islam, there is no separation between religion and science, because Islam is scientific. Okay, do you understand?
Yes, sir.
What? Enough? Okay. If there is no question, we will proceed to the next slide. Summary. Good science depends on a well-designed experiment that minimizes bias by using appropriate sample size, sample selection, measurement techniques. Well, okay, next. The scientific community engage in certain quality control to eliminate bias, just like peer review journal are verified by independent duplication. 2 or more scientists from different institutions investigate the same question and get similar results. Peer review journal, so that your scriptsy later must be submitted to journal. Why? Because if you are doing so, there is a scientific community will testing your research. The scientific community will testing your research. Is your research is scientific enough or not? Okay, so that is the use of scientific community. Next. Okay, I don't know what is this. Just like hieroglyph. Identifying good science. Look for signs of bias, language bias, appropriate data report to pay conclusions, and data source. Okay, so as a good scientist, you must be careful of this bias. You must be very objective. Okay, next. Language. Science does not seek to prove but disprove. Be suspicious of this claim. Wait. So emotional appeals. So the conclusion must not using emotion. The conclusion you are conducted for your research cannot be emotional because you must be objective. Strong language. Scientific conclusions must report what the data supports. Words should be chosen very carefully to avoid exaggeration or claims not supported by data. So, what it means? It means that in writing scriptsy, you are using the scientific language. You are using the scientific language. You cannot use a metaphor. You cannot use a poem or making poetry in your scriptsy. Okay, you understand? You are using scientific language. The language is very actually is very boring. It's very boring. Not just like you are reading novel or something artistic, but that is research. The research is based on data, not emotional. Okay, next. Are samples and measurement appropriate for the conclusion presented? So this is will check it. This will check it by the judge. The judge in college student, in university student research is the lecturer. The lecturer. That is why, if you want to be graduate, you will have a court, sidang, a mini court, sidang skripsi, and so you will be judged by at least three lecturers, to evaluate your research, and you must be able to debate and answer every question. Okay, do you understand? Okay, next. Data. You can use a lot of data source. It can be get from, you can get it from university research, from corporate research, from government research, just like data BPS, or you can take the data from research by special interest groups. All organizations produce unbiased data. However, it is important to understand the organization motivation to be able to identify potential bias. So, if you want to be safe, you can use data from BPS. Usually, data from corporate research is not as objective as you think. Perhaps they want to show you that this shampoo is very good. This is proven in research that is the number one people choice. But perhaps they do that research on their special region only. So we are afraid that the data is not objective. Okay. Next. Okay, we can skip this. This is the example of the data. Yes. Next. Oh, so this is the one who I take the slide from, Ana Maria Rodriguez. Okay. Next slide. So in the in the skripsi, you must respect the another writer. That is why if you are writing something, if you are writing the task, you are writing the assignment, in the back part of your writing, you must write the reference, bibliography, or we call it in bahasa daftar pustaka. That it is very important in scientific writing. We are respecting another person who gives you idea. Okay, this is the definition. So data, we have data, and we process it, the data. The processed data is called information. Then the information, we give the information, the experience, and the intuition, and then it becomes knowledge. After all the knowledge, and we compile knowledge, and then we do research with that knowledge, we do methodology, scientific research on that knowledge, and that knowledge could become a science. Okay, next. Pure science versus applied science. Pure science, science used for getting facts. Applied science, science being put to use. Okay. So if you are entering the study program of in university, actually you are studying pure science, ilmu murni, not applied science. Okay, if you want to learn about applied science, you go to academy, or in Indonesia we call it program diploma. But if you want to be graduated as sarjana, you are studying pure science. Next. Okay, this is the law. What is law? Law is, for example, the law of gravity, the law of Newton, the law of Archimedes, like that. Next. The law of the Newton's law of gravity. Objects that are heavier than air will fall. Just like the apple. Mr. Newton, we fell right into his head. Hope he will be okay. So the story is about Newton got an apple in his head. So he found a law called gravity. Next, a theory. A theory is an idea that can be used to explain why or how something happened based on observations, and the theory itself can change. The theory can change. If you are doing research in your scriptsy, in literature review, you must conclude theory. You must conclude theory. Okay, before this, I must explain to you about applied science and pure science first. So the pure science is very abstract. The pure science is very abstract. That is why if you are learning pure science, many of you will be sleepy. Many of you will be sleepy, and usually if you are learning pure science, you cannot stand for a long time because it is brainly consuming. Okay, I will tell you a story. Last time, when I become a lecturer in one university, but not in UNESA, I teach also an international student, and I looks like I have told you this before. I'm sorry. I always have what is called. I just felt that I have ever do this before. What is it? In that place, I have student from Philippines, I have student from United States, I have student from Indonesia itself, and also from Thailand. And one day there is a guest lecturer from Netherlands. The lecturer from Netherlands taught us the education system in Netherlands. So if you are in Indonesia, you are free to choose after junior high. After junior high, you are free to choose to proceed your study, go to SMK or SMA, right? But in Netherlands, you have no choice. You have no choice. So there is a test. There is a test for the students. There's a test for the student. A student is in the class, and the teacher give them theories and something abstract, give them subject. And after a time, perhaps 1 hour or 2 hour teaching, some of the student is getting sleepy or distracted. Their attention is distracted. Some students then become boring and then call their friend, hey, this teacher is boring, just like, and speaking to another person and losing distraction or drawing something, etc. And you know what? The students who cannot maintain his attention after 1 or 2 hours automatically go to SMK. No choice. So, do you know what I mean? You need a very strong attention and good focus to learn pure science, because it is very abstract, it is very hard in mind, and you need a very big attention. If you don't like learning something abstract, learning something conceptual, learning something hard in mind, you should go to SMK, or you should learn in academic. You learn applied science. You learn technical science. Okay, so I will give you another story. I have a brother which is learning the machine, the technique of machine, but not in academy, not a diploma program. He learned the technique machine in Sarjana program. And you know what? He even cannot fix his own motorcycle. He cannot fix his own motorcycle, which even SMK student from technique machine, applied science, can do it. Okay, do you understand what I mean? Why? Why he cannot fix his broken motorcycle? Because he is learning the pure science, the theory. He is learning how the fuel from the motorcycle become power. How much power is produced? How much Newton? How about the power of braking? And it is all abstract. It is all conceptual. He is he is not learning about how to repair the motorcycle, how to fix the the fire ignition. No, he is not learning that thing. If you want to learning that thing, you should go to SMK or diploma. You will learn applied science. So the conclusion is, if you are now choosing to study in university, prepare yourself, because you will get a 4 years full of conceptual and theory and everything abstract that can make you sleepy and headache. Okay? Any question? Okay. So we are now learning the pure science, not applied science. So people should not ask you, you are learning economics. You are learning economics, but why don't you be a rich person? we are learning economics in the way understanding economics itself. It is not mean that we are rich person by learning economics. If you know, sometimes in our village or in our area, the people who is very rich when become you know what entrepreneur, usually not go to university. Even menteri, the previous menteri Susi, he is not go to university, but he could become a very successful entrepreneur. Okay, so sometimes it is different to learn pure science and applied science. Okay, next. Hypothesis. Hypothesis, right? So later, if you have a scriptsy, you must have hypothesis. Hypothesis is the statement of possibly answer of your question, but it will not be answer. The hypothesis will not be answered except if you have already done the research. Next. The theory. Okay, next. Okay. So the task for you as an undergraduate student is proving a theory. For example, you are proving the theory of supply and demand, or you are proving the theory of economics theory. A lot of theory you will learn, and your task is to prove the theory. So if you do making research, if you create a scriptsy, and your scriptsy is blaming a theory, and you said that the theory is incorrect, it is wrong, then your scriptsy is incorrect, because your task is proving a theory for undergraduate student. If you want to blame a theory, I disagree with this theory. This theory is not good. You can do it by doing research called thesis in pasca sarjana, in master degree. If you are in master degree, you can blame a theory. If you want more, oh, I disagree with this theory, I don't like with this theory, I want to make a new theory. You must study again and become a doctor. If you are learning in PhD or S3, the doctor of philosophy, you can make your own theory. Okay? So just like what I've said before, your task as undergraduate student, as a sarjana, is just to prove a theory. That's it. Later, if you want more, you must study again and study again. Okay? Next, what is science and what is not science? We will have time until what clock? What clock? Until 9?
8:40.
8:40. Okay, no problem. What is science and what is not science? Next. Science is the constant human effort to understand the history of the natural world and how the natural world works. Okay, next. Science uses observable physical evidence as the basis of all scientific understanding. So, everything observable and physical can be the basis for science. Next. Science done by observation and experiment. Experiment. So that's why you must do research later. Next. Types of science, observational science. Example, ecologies. An ecology studying the growth rate of mink in an island ecosystem. Next. Example 2, a geologist. Geologists. They are studying rocks and minerals. Next. Example 3, astrophysicists. Photographing distant galaxy to determine the formation of the universe. Okay, very interesting, right? Next. Climatologists, studying about climate change. Next. Types number 2, experimental science. Just like a chemist. A chemist observes the rate of chemical reaction in the laboratory. If you have friend in economic education, they do research, they do experiment in their laboratory. And do you know what is their laboratory? Their laboratory is a classroom. So they learning about how is the best way to teach students. Interesting. Next. Example of experimental science, nuclear physicists. Next. A biologist. Biologist observing direction of particular virus. For now, we need it so much. A bacteriologist and biologist, and because we are dealing with corona. Okay, next. What are all scientists attempting to do? Observing and experiment in order to detect patterns in nature. Okay, pattern. Next. Two things in common amongst all scientists: making and recording observation. And number two, showing that old ideas are wrong and developing new ideas. So that's why we are trying to make a new theory, creating a new theory, because we want to prove that the old idea is wrong. Next. What is not science? Science is not art. Art is attempt to express individual feeling or ideas, or find beautiful, graceful, or pleasing. Why art is not science? Because it is very subjective. Next. Science attempt to make public and repeatable conclusions about natural world. Yes. Next. Science is not technology. Science does not make things. Scientists generate knowledge. Engineers use scientific knowledge to generate technology. Okay. So the technology is a product of science. Yes, please. Next. Science is not truth. Most scientists seek truth. They don't know or generate truth. Okay. So science is not certain. Science has a lot of possibility, and that's why scientists must be philosophically, a scientist must be always questioning, because there are so many possibilities. Next. Science is not certainty. Okay. Scientists use evidence to propose and test theories, knowing that future evidence may change, refuse, or even reject today's theories. Okay. Next. Science is not religion. Science and belief system are very different in what they try to do. Okay, next. Science seeks to explain nature and physical underlying assumption, which can be tested and observable physical evidence, or we call it in scientific language empirically. Okay. Next. Okay. While religion is based on dogmatic values. Looks like I have told you this, or if I didn't, you can view my lecture on the philosophy class in bahasa in in another class. So the religion is dogmatic. The dogmatic means the beliefs in religion you cannot reject. You cannot reject the statement in religion. Means if you are joining one religion, you cannot argue. There is no choice. For example, if you join Islam, you must believe that God is one. That's it. You cannot argue. Like I want to be a Muslim, but I need my God to be 3 or 4. Oh no, you cannot. Or you I want to be a Christian. I want to be a Christian, but I want my Prophet Muhammad. No, you cannot. Or for example, I want to be a Hindu. I want to be a Hindu because Hindu people in Bali is very generous, is very kind. I want to be a Hindu, but I want Muhammad as my prophet. No, you can't. So the religion gives you no choice. If you join a religion, you must believe what is the religion teach you. That is why religion and science very different. In science, you must argue. In religion, you cannot argue. In science, you must do debate to find truth. In religion, no debate. Okay, but as a Muslim, just like what I told you, this is in the term of us as a Muslim. In the term of us as a Muslim, means that I will not say this in another class if it's not economic Islamic economic student. We are believe that the religion is from God, and we are believe that the religion can be in line with science, because we believe that the natural, the physical, and everything is created by God, and God never do mistake. Okay, do you understand? Okay, just like what I told you before, I won't tell you this if you are not Islamic economic student. In general, if we learn the philosophy of science, we must separate between religion and science. The 3 basic questions science asks. What is there? The astronaut picking up rocks on the moon. The nuclear physicist bombarding atoms. What is there? Okay, next. Number 2 question. How does it work? How does it work? How does the nuclear become a bomb? How does magma could become rocks? How does earthquake happen? How does tsunami happen? Number 3. Yes, next. How did it come to be this way? Each of the scientists tries to reconstruct the history of their subject of study. Okay, next. So, you know this slide, I take it from in the previous slide. You can read it. Berkeley, you know Berkeley. Berkeley is one of the great campus in the world. In yes, Berkeley. Actually, the many economists comes from Berkeley too. Next. Okay, we have discussed this before, right? The limits of science according to Sir Peter Modawar. Modawar or Medawar? I'm sorry. I have found this picture, but the resolution is not so good. I have in such question, how did everything begin? What are we all here for? What is the point of living? According to Sir Peter, it is not a science to answer, but a metaphysical, imagination, literature, or religion. Religion. So that is the limit of science, according to Sir Peter. For example, the science cannot answer what is living after death. For us, a Muslim believe that there is a living after death, alam barzakh. There is a heaven and hell, and it is not. It could be proven by science or could not be proven yet, or our the science cannot prove it yet. But we as a Muslim, we believe that someday perhaps the science can prove it. Okay, next. Introduction to the social science. Okay. Social science describes disciplines that explore human behavior. And these disciplines involve research and data collection and course analysis. Social scientists apply their research to help solve problems that may occur in society. Next. Branches of social science. There are human geography, economics, linguistics, politics, anthropology, communication, sociology, psychology, law, culture. So it's kind of different with in senior high you usually separate into two parts, social student and natural student, IPA and IPS. Next. Okay. Some people separate between social science and next one slide again. Some people differ between social science and social studies. Okay, next. Objectivity in social science. How we take objectivity in social science? Synthesis is an idea which we have created emerges from fundamental main principles. Okay, this is a very abstract, but the point is, in social science, usually we conduct research by interview, by asking, or we do literature research, and something we can be so subjective. So we need how to create our research be more objective. Usually we need second view or the third view person. That's why if you are doing research by interview person, you cannot ask only one person statement. You cannot ask only one person statement. You must find another view. Find another view to create one big ideas and become objective. Okay, next.
It is the last slide, sir.
Oh, the last slide. Okay, Alhamdulillah. So, and the time is running out also. Please think it carefully and if you want to ask outside the class, perhaps you can ask in comment if I already upload this recorded meeting, okay? Because the time is up for now. Okay, let's close our meeting by doa akhir majelis. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika asyhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Thank you and see you next week insyaallah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mister.